Hello everyone, welcome to another Flesh and Blood video. In this one, we're going over arguably the ninja that got the most support from the hunted, Ira Scarlet Revenger. I also don't think we have ever done Ira on this channel. I don't think I made a video when she first got released. I probably did and am forgetting, but she did get a lot of support in the hunted, so I think it's worth it to actually go over her. Of course, Ninja didn't go a set where they got cards that something didn't get banned. Needle did get banned. Of course it did. But Ira is still a decently powerful deck. Not as strong as everyone thought she would be with some of these new cards. But nonetheless, we have her here today. So with that, let's get started. Ira, Scarlet Revenger, is a 4 intellect, 40 health ninja hero. Very simple. She has the standard ability that everyone knows from Ira. Crimson, I think it's Crimson Haze is the old Ira. Your second attack each turn gets +1 power. Very, very simple. Just a good standard ability. You get +1 damage every single turn. It's just strong. For the weapon, the really only option is Harmonized Kadachi, in which we are playing 2. This lets you swing once and then play another attack to get the pump, or just swing 2 resource for 3 damage with Ira's ability. Of course, that means all of the blues in our deck have to be 0 costed, but that's not hard to do in Ninja. This is the base set weapon. Every Ninja card is designed with this card in mind. We are, of course, playing Mask of Momentum because this is a mid-range ninja deck. We want to be threatening Mask as much as possible. Blood Splattered Vest is here because this deck can have some turns where you do want to swing the daggers to try and get your opponent to block, and a lot of the time they won't, and if they don't, you just get free resource to continue your turn. Generally, you see Blood Splattered Vest with Flick Knives, but this list isn't actually on Flick Knives, mainly because you do want a little more block on your equipment, but also because you don't particularly need them. Since the Kadachis with the Retrieve cards aren't as strong as the Needles with the Retrieve cards, so no need to bring Flick Knives. You can just bring Kadachis, but I would still recommend the Vest. Tiger Stripe Shukos are our glove of choice, There are a decent number of attacks in this deck that can actually work with it. Stab Wound, Winds of Eternity, just to name a few. And we're also on Pouncing Paws, so we can actually trigger it sometimes if we need to. And we're on Pouncing Paws since we want a blocking equipment, but also we can't really use any of the other ninja shoes. You could use Snapdragon Scalers or Quick Dodge Reflexers if you wanted to. I think Quick Dodge Reflexers are a pretty good option. They're not in the list right now, but if you had them and wanted to use them, you could. I just think Pouncing Paws let you be a little more aggressive, giving you free damage or an extra attack if need be, as well as we are on dual threat, so sometimes you actually do need the extra attack from the Pouncing Paws. Looking at the main board, we can see it's a 54 card main board. A lot of my lists of recent have been just 60 card main boards where you swap cards out, but personally I prefer decks like this where you just need to add cards. Sometimes cards will come out though. Oh well, again, I will write that up. But for our just damaging things, because that's kind of what Ira's decks are split into, cards that do damage and cards that pitch. Bittering Thorns is one of the better Ira cards. It's a 1/4 that threatens an on-hit for an extra 1 damage. Just a good attack that your opponent wants to block. It's a breakpoint. You can make it even 5 with Ira herself, which is pretty nice. Censor's a good disruptive piece that can punish opponents for keeping high hands, since you could, say against Aurora, name something like Arc Lightning, and then their turn kind of just doesn't work anymore. Command and Conquer, very similar, just a bread and butter disruption card. If you don't have Command and Conquer, you can replace it with many things. We do have some of them in our sideboard already in the Weakest Link and Erase phase, but there are others that you can play. Cut Through is a pretty powerful card inside of Ninja. Since your daggers cost 1, this gives itself +1 and go again if you hit with a dagger this combat chain, which is very easy to do, making this a 0 for 4 go again. Enlightened Strike is just a very powerful card in this deck since we can play 2-card hands very well as it's just lets us convert pretty weak hands of all reds or mostly blues. 100 Winds just another aggressive card. It's a good 0 for 3. Mauling Key because it has synergy with the Pouncing Paws, as well as it's just a good 1 for 5 3 block. Pain in the Backside because it's a head jab that can threaten an extra damage and a resource off our chess piece if we're ever on a turn where we can't swing the Kodachis. Again, a card that can fix full red hands. Spinning Wheel Kick just is another good go again attack. Generally, I end my turns with an extra resource or the ability to get an extra resource off like Blood Splattered Vest, so having Spinning Wheel Kick really isn't too bad. And then Torrent of Tempo, even though this is a card that sometimes doesn't have go again and is a card you should try to start with, there are situations where you play this as your attack and your opponent thinks, do I block this or not? And if they do choose to block it, you just get an arsenal next turn. If they don't block it, you just get to throw another attack. So I think this card's really good, and I like it in my Ira list. The only not blue or red card in the deck is Dual Threat. This is a card seemingly designed for Ira. It gives your next weapon attack +3 if you've attacked with an attack action, or your next attack action +3 if you've attacked with a weapon. This is a hero that has access to 2 weapons in the Harmonized Kodachis and a lot of go again effects, so you can swing Kodachi card, play Dual Threat, and then swing the other Kodachi end card and make this sort of like a 0 for 6, as well as it blocks 3, and if need be, you can pitch it to your Kodachis since it's a yellow 0 cost. For the blues, there are a lot of variants in the blues that you play, but the ones I chose to go with are a little more based on the Tiger package. Aspect of Tiger Mind is a go again effect that can be played after any of our blues that generates an extra tiger. Pouncing Key is a combo off Tiger to get +1 and go again. Which, those are the only 2 Tiger Synergy ones in the deck, but I think they're still better. You generally won't play Aspect of Tiger Mind, but I do like this over some of our other options. You could play Head Jab Blue, but this does block 3 not Head Jab Blue, 100 Winds Blue. But 100 Winds Blue only blocks for 2, and I prefer 3 of this over 3 Winds of Eternity because there are more times where I find myself able to use the Aspect of Tiger Mind than the Winds of Eternity, but you could easily play 3 Winds of Eternity, 2 Aspect of Tiger Minds if you wanted to, which could be better. I just, in my testing, have found this a little better, but you could easily do that if you wanted to. I think another good note with these is to play 200 Winds Blues and 3 Winds of Eternity over just all the Aspect of Tiger Minds. That's one I've done a lot in other ninjas, not so much in Ira, but I think that could also be a pretty good one. So I'll write that down when the video goes up for you. For our just other blues in the deck, even though Warmongers isn't needed as much anymore because Viserai is gone, this is a deck that plays 1 actual non-attack action in Dual Threat, so you can still just play Warmongers to hit some of the other decks that it's good against. We're on 1 Burdens of the Past just because some people will try to go pretty late with you, so this can just get them in the late game. 3 Concealed Blade because we are playing 3 Throw Dagger. We are on 1 extra Kodachi in our sideboard just for the Concealed Blade, so they can just let us get over for 1 extra damage. Good with the Torrent of Tempos, the Pain in the Backsides. This isn't really an Ancestral deck, but this is a pretty good Concealed Blade deck. And then, as I said, Throw Dagger just lets us get free damage in since we're not on Flick Knives using our Kodachis, and lets us actually get a Kodachi back with Concealed Blade. Those both also have synergies with Stab Wound, which is just a good attack that can come in for bonus damage from the Tiger Stripe Shuko. And I already talked about it a little bit, but 2 Winds of Eternity, just for our 100 wins synergies. Finally, let's take a look at the inventory. We play Harmonized Kadachi because we're playing it with Conceal Blade. Tide Flippers for 1 AB, since we're a pretty aggressive deck into matchups where we want Arcane Barrier. 3 Erase Face, and 3 The Weakest Link for some extra disruption. Bring in these when needed. Decks that care about traits like Draconic or Acilio, you'll want to go with Erase Face. Decks that have a lot of instants or no blocks, things like KO, things like Aurora, also Acilio. The Lightning decks, The Weakest Link is really good against. Gravekeeping can be replaced with any other 1-for-5 powerful or disruptive card you want, or just another 2-for-6 if you really wanted to. I personally play Gravekeeping because I really don't like Count Your Blessings, and this card can lower the Count Your Blessing amount of life gain by a little bit. So I like to have this card in my sideboard for those matchups. Then I play 60 Reacts, 3 Shelter from the Storm. These can be interchanged with Sink Below if you really wanted to. Also with Flick Flax are another good option. I personally prefer Sink Below as the swap outs. You can do 1 Shelter, 2 Sink, 3 Sink, 3 Shelter, whatever amount of those you want. But the other D-React I play is Wax On because against aggro decks, they have a lot of 4 to 5 numbers, so Red Wax On can be a very powerful tool to just one block those out. Things like Assassin, Aurora, other ninja matchups. Wax On is a very powerful card. And then the last card in the deck is 3 Snag. For those Assassin matchups, you have a good amount of armor on your equipment. You have the 1 Battle Worn from the Pause, and you even have like Blood Splattered Vest and Shuko if need be. So I like 3 Snag. Whenever Snag comes in, you'll go down one of these blues, probably like Warmongers or Aspect or something. One of them goes down for Snag. It's fine. Yeah, doesn't matter which one, just probably not like Conceal Blade or Throw Dagger. Like, not the important ones. But the weaker ones, yeah, you'll just bring in Snag. Because they're really only in here because they block 3. Other than that, there isn't really much to say about Ira. She's a pretty simple deck. I don't know how long this recording was, but it is definitely very short. So maybe next week I do a longer one. I'll have to see. Although Ira is a pretty simple deck that is pretty easy to play, so it didn't really require too much explanation. We've seen all these cards maybe except like Censor and Dual Threat before, but the new inclusions of Dual Threat, Pain in the Backside, Throw Dagger, those types of cards are definitely really powerful for this deck, and cards that I think definitely deserve an inclusion inside of Ira. But with all of that, that is going to be the end of the video. Thank you if you made it this far, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.